One of the things I really love about Microsoft is they're constantly looking for ways to save us time. And they're adding, extra fields through a personalization or extra setup so that things can default when we're creating transactions or master records. So in this video, we're going to talk about the default flushing method that you can set up in the manufacturing setup in regards to items. So the flushing methods, what are they? So in terms of the item cards, you have a flushing method set. So your options would be manual, forward, backward, pick and backward, pick and forward. So in a manual scenario, this means that a user will use the consumption journal or the production journal to indicate how much inventory they want to decrease out of their location and bin. That's typically best for like more of a custom environment or something where what you're consuming could vary and you want exact cost. The forward flushing would be when you have a production order in the firm plan status and you change the status to released. That is when it will be flushed and consumed from your inventory. So you typically want to have predictable, stable. You don't want to be changing which production orders you intend to work on, so you're potentially consuming to the wrong projects. And this will automatically deduct that inventory when that status change happens. The backward flushing, very similar, but this is when you have a released production order and you change the status to finished. So again, you've got predictable, stable production. This would be something that would be consistent, so it's going to consume based on the expected quantity. So that would be something that you would want to make sure there's not a lot of variability in that. You've got the pick and backward and then pick and forward. So these are used less frequently, but we have included these in more recent versions where you're using warehousing and you've got that enabled. You're using warehouse picks. So the pick and backward would be, again, more something that you're using when it's finalized at the end of the process. And then pick and forward would be when it's more the forward flushing idea when the order is released. There's also a pick and manual, which would allow you to register a warehouse pick, but then also manually consume whatever you'd like through the consumption or the production journal. So what does this look like inside of the software? Let's take a look. So here we are inside of Business Central, and I had just searched here for the manufacturing setup. So here I've got my default flushing method, and if I drop down the list, I can see the manual, forward, backward, pick and forward, pick and backward, pick and manual functions that we just spoke about. So I'm going to leave this on manual. And I will go to my item card and I will create a new item, and I'll just select using a template. And so here I can see the flushing method here is set to manual. So if I close out of here, and again, I'm going to go back into my manufacturing setup. And now I will change this to backward flush, let's say. So now I'll select new again. Now I've got these templates set up, and these templates potentially could have a flushing method in it. So I'm just going to click on cancel. Business Central is going to ask me if I would like to open up a blank item card, meaning that I'm not going to use any of the default setup in my item template, and I will go ahead and say yes. And now if I scroll down, I can see that my flushing method is set to backward. So important thing to note with this is set up for all new items that are created. So if you're not using item templates, it will just take this as a default. But of course, if you needed to, you could change the flushing method on the item specifically. So your manufacturing setup would be your typical default that you would want to come in, but you can always leverage item templates that are there to be able to set defaults in not only the flushing method, but lots of fields in Business Central as well. So my goal is always just to give real-time videos that maybe don't make it to the big stage, small little features or tips and tricks all throughout. So if you have any suggestions on things that you think would be a great video for the larger audience, feel free to email me. I have a website that has a link to my YouTube channel. It has a link to blog posts. It has a link to podcasts that I have done in the past, or feel free to follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Thanks for watching.